Welcome back to the Significant Coaching Podcast. I'm your host, Matt Rogers. Today is part 2 with Coach Vinny Barber, head men's wrestling coach at the University of Lynchburg. And we're keeping this basic and universal for every listener, so don't think that you have to be a wrestling family or coach to really understand what we're going to be talking about today. This is for you, no matter what sport you're a part of. This episode lays out what actually moves a recruit up a coach's list: clear communication, consistent effort, and habits that show who you are when nobody's watching. Coach Barber will break down film that helps, emails that get read, social media that builds trust, and the academic plan that signals you're ready for the demands of college. We'll get practical on fit, how to read a program's culture, prep for visits, how to carry yourself in conversations, and understand timelines. And because Lynchburg is building its first roster on the road to ODAC competition in 2026-27, you'll hear how a new program evaluates character, commitment, and readiness. For weekly blogs, recruiting tools, my significant recruiting books, my Launchpad classes, and how to schedule me to speak at your school or organization, head over to CoachMattRogers.com. Now, let's get into part 2 with Coach Vinny Barber. You and I have been talking recruiting for a long time. I'm really interested in, because I've been out of it in terms of running my own program for 12 years now. So much has changed from a technological standpoint. So much has happened now with texting, and there's so many apps out there and social media. Are you hearing from parents more than you expected to? Are you getting texts from parents and social media things more than you expected?
Yeah, I think because I kind of engineer that in a way. So as I say older, as I've just aged past the way kids communicate, I started really relying on Facebook for parents, right? I add every recruit's parents on Facebook because that gives me some insight, because the parents post the things the kids don't think they care about yet, right? Like homecoming or an A on a paper, which now that gives me another touch point that I might not already hear from the kid. I'd be like, hey, I saw you guys went to Disney. I saw you did really good on your project. And they're always like, I wonder how coach knows, right? It's because I care to know. But that does open the door to have more conversations with parents. I look at social media as an extension of my coaching staff and myself. Like Facebook is me recruiting the parents in a way. And if you go to my Facebook page, you see some of my personal life in there, but it's pretty much about the program and the way I am as a human, right? And the way I run my program. And so talking to parents more has definitely become a thing. I'm trying it now because I think parents who want to be involved, why not have them involved? Now, I'm good about setting the boundaries, as you do with fundraising or anybody outside the team that's involved. Is how do you create a boundary that they're not too involved, but they feel good? But I actually have a lot of interactions with parents, building those relationships, because let's face it, they're part of the decision process. They are part of an alumni base in the future. They're part of a fundraising base. They have so many factors, and I want them to feel special that they're sending their son to come wrestle for Lynchburg, and they have a stake in the game too, and they feel good about it. They feel good. And it's a longer insight into how who their child is and who their family is that we're welcoming to our program.
That's really cool. Is social media a good way for a kid to reach out to you, to get noticed by you? Because one of the things I always warn kids about, it's real easy for a coach now to click a heart. I just sent you a message coaching. Oh, they clicked a heart. Oh, they followed me. What does that mean to you when you favorite a kid or follow a kid? Yes, what's the reality of that?
It's gonna sound like scientific when I say this, but I just was talking to my assistant about it, right? He's first time coaching, and I was like, recruiting is not that hard. I'm not discrediting why I do these things, but swiping up on a kid's story and sending him that fire emoji is just a quick rush of dopamine, and be like, coach sees me. And I'm not discrediting that. That's why I do it, because that's how you communicate with the kids. I have a desk full of handwritten letters. I actually have some here that I got to mail out. That though, not as hard hitting anymore with the kids, right? Sammy just went up and watched a kid play soccer on his senior day. We're not soccer coaches. The kid thinks that's cool. But staying and meeting them at their level is really important to me. So the parents see the things we do more. The coaches see those old school recruiting. And I think that there's never not a time that's important. But from the kid standpoint, it is easier for me. You're sitting at home and you're relaxing. Instead of getting on the phone with the kids, which you can do when you're driving, that's still going to be something we do. But you're just like doom scrolling and you come across a recruits page, like that's helpful for me. That now has become like the way to have a touch point with a kid. It's like pretty easy. It's like a low hanging fruit,
Yeah.
but you'd still be shocked on how many don't do it. Social media is like where we meet them. That has become very, as much as I feel like I'm an old man when I say this, as much I hate that, it has become something that we've had to adapt with. I think you see some coaches get out of the game now because they're adverse to understanding that, or they bring in really young assistants who live there. My assistant crushes it on social media. All my assistants were young, first-time coaches. They crush it there. And the social media footprint, that's what's cool. You got to be cool. I got to be somewhat cool and got to have it.
I won't take credit for any of that, but it's something that I've preached to you and your staff at Ozarks. And I just did a keynote with 60 coaches in Oregon. And it's one of those things that there's too many coaches that don't get that part.
Yes.
Wow, for the kids. You've taken, it might just be 20 seconds out of your life, but you've said, wow, that's cool. Hey, great job. Or, hey, boom, man, way to go.
When their social media becomes like the old school Rolodex of notes.
Yeah.
Like, I get so much information. Like, again, like college coaches like are super busy, right? Like between like for example, the last 3 weeks, I've put 10-hour days putting walls up in this facility and getting it ready. The last thing I was doing was checking results. But while I'm home for 20, 30 minutes and waiting for dinner to be done, like I'm scrolling through Instagram. Oh, that kid went 5-2 that weekend. Ah, there's the result I was looking for. There's he had homecoming, or he did this. So there's a picture of him getting a good win, or I learned more about him outside of wrestling. I think social media actually, as much as some people want to despise it, as much as I sometimes do, it also has made recruiting a more well-rounded like approach. And you can really learn so much more if you just kind of let it like absorb you for an hour a night.
Yeah. I think what's changed in the last 25 years since I started doing this is you might have 50 to 100 recruits that are on your radar, that you know who they are, you've seen them compete, you know what they're made of. Today, it might be 500 to 1,000 kids you've had a touch point with.
Yep.
And you don't have the time in the day to do it like we used to 25 years ago. You need that social media to go, hey, I'm still here, still thinking about you. Nice job.
Because every interaction on social media is recruiting. Like we just posted a highlight video today from our camp, and it's like, that is a touch point for recruiting. Everyone just saw that. Every piece of content is that. And so it works both ways, whether we're interacting or they're interacting with us on social media. Like that's huge. And then this is going to make me feel like I'm like 100 years old. I see some knucklehead stuff on social media though. So that's one thing I tell kids, be careful what you're posting, right? I see some kids posting things where I'm like, man, I wish I didn't know that about you, right? I wish that was like something you didn't do. I wish that was, kids have gotten a lot better at it though. Like usually kids who post on I'll never run across those kids because I just don't attract those types of kids to our program to begin with. And I think kids have gotten better. And like when I was coming through, like things I posted in college, idiot. I was a big old idiot, but it was new. That was when Twitter and all that stuff was just coming out. Now it's like these kids are a little smarter. They know what to keep private, but it's just a big insight. And I think we just had a call with our recruiting software about an hour ago, and integrating social medias into their profiles was a big one, right? Trying to get their social media is so big. It's just, I always look, I'm like, what are the schools that they follow? And that's my competition, right? Oh, that school's not following them. They don't have a chance. And I know that might not be the way to look at it, but I look and say, hey, so-and-so is not following this recruit that we're on, and they're not even in the picture.
Yeah. I was going to ask you this question in the last segment, but this is a really good transition to get that topic back up. Social media is their independence of where their identity, trying to figure out what their identity is next.
Yeah.
You talked about in the last segment about that first 2 weeks, you want kids to figure out college. You want to figure out, how are you going to do this? Are you going to get your butt up at 6 a.m. to start practicing 6 a.m.? How important is that they try and figure out and learn what their identity is without their parents before they get to you? Is that even possible?
I think it's hard. I think that becomes really hard. It's interesting because I think too, kids, like when I was growing up, I wanted a lot of freedom. I think now as times have just changed. I think parents have become a little bit more friendly with their kids where, not that I come from a very strict household, but my parents were my parents. And then you go, I didn't do some of the things kids do with their parents nowadays. I think it takes a unique kid to try to go find out. There was a kid I was recruiting in Illinois, and unfortunately, I just don't think he wants to come this far away, but he started his own little landscaping business, and he was like really crushing life. And I was like, man, those kids are really hard to find nowadays to do those types of things. But finding their identity as themselves is important. Some of the things that I look at there is, and this is a weird one because I want the parents to come up on the visit with them for sure, but it's kids who showed up to the prospect camp without their parents. Who makes the decisions like, hey, coach, I'm ready to come visit. I'm going to let my parents know, or hey, my mom's still filling out my applications. I still get that sometimes, like parents fill out the applications, and actually increasingly more than I ever have. And I used to have a rule, if your parents are filling out the application, I ain't recruiting you. But I think the day and age we are, parents are more involved, and it makes it hard to stand on that hill. I don't want to die on that hill anymore, but it is really important for kids to start to find their own, because, and that's what I tell kids on the recruiting process. And I beat around the bush and say, hey, when you get here, you're on your own for good, right? Like this is it. And find that over the summer, right? Find that, start doing your own laundry. I tell them all, start doing your own laundry, right? That's the one thing you'll thank me for when you get here is I did my own laundry, so I got my clothes are clean, right? And that's a small one, but it's a big one. But finding their own identity now and becoming a man now is important because, again, there's so much change about to happen in college. And I got kids that I'm recruiting from Minnesota. There's not kids from 20 minutes down the road. They're here. They're going far. You got new responsibilities, new people. You got a roommate you might not know. You got a coach that you're feeling out for the first time, and you're on your own. So having some independence is really important.
Hypothetically, I'm a 16-year-old wrestler in Ohio. I'm really well. I heard great things about Lynchburg. I'm going to make state my junior year again for the second time. How do I let Coach Vinny Barber know that I'm interested in you? What's ideal for you to get a kid's information, get to know that they're thinking about you?
Yeah, so I talk to kids about this all the time. Every time I go to a high school, it's guys, you think there's so many kids in the country who wrestle, so many who want to wrestle in college. And then I'm very honest with the kids, like there's some coaches you just don't recruit. So if there's 175 Division III or 145 Division III college wrestling programs, I'm just going to say 45 might never even get out of their office and hope the kids come to them. So there's only 100 to 200 coaches, including assistants, that are ever recruiting. So 200, and there's probably, sometimes I run it like this weekend, I had 100 kids in here, right? So the numbers just are against us as coaches. So I always say, reach out, right? I want the kid who reaches out. And I've seen more increasingly, like kids make little mock resumes. And I'm like, that's cool, right? They email it to me and I'm like, that's cool. You go up, you might not be a good wrestler right now, but I like that, right? I'm not going to worry about you going to class. I get kids who reach out to me on social media. One thing I advise is try not to use slang or talking complete sentences when you're doing that, right? The biggest one, and this is the one, like, some weird analogy, but it's almost like dating. Recruiting is almost like dating. You put so much time in it and then you just get ghosted. When the biggest pain in the butt for me is, I looked at it the other day. I messaged all the kids trying to get some visits and stuff. So I got this app where I can send the messages over and over, but analytically how much have they responded? I got 7 or 8 kids who we want. I don't want to give up on. They've never responded to me. And then one of them today said, Coach, I'm sorry. I see these messages. I've just been busy. And I'm like, how busy? And I need him because he's a big guy and it's a little hard to find big guys out here. But it's like kids don't, and I'm not knocking the kid. I used to get so mad at the kids. They don't get it, right? They're 17, 18 years old. They don't get it. I can't expect them to think like you and I think. But I say it all the time. If you're not about a coach, just let him know, hey, coach, I'm not interested. You can't let a college coach text you 3 times with no response. You can't have 3 methods of communication with no response.
They don't understand what that does to your mentality about them and the impression that they're building in your head. And I use this analogy. You talked about dating. I use this all the time. I just tell kids, I go, if a girl reaches out to you, you're a boy and a girl reaches out to you, or you reach out to a girl and you say, hey, I'd love to go to the movies with you. Silence.
Yeah.
Day 2, silence. Day 3, silence. Yep. What do you think that girl is thinking about you?
Yeah.
She obviously doesn't want to go to the movies with me. Obviously she doesn't like me. Okay.
Yeah.
Guess what happens when you do that to a coach?
Yeah. Same thing.
We'll set you a text and say, I love you. Can we set up a time to talk?
Yep.
And
it's funny, like we have the number one school I'm going to recruit against is about 45 minutes away. Me and that coach are really close. He runs a great program, but we talk about recruits. We're good buddies. We've been buddies since I started coaching. He was at a different school. And so we talk about it and I'm like, hey, and we'll always recruit the same kids. Like we're always going to, I said, so-and-so, you talk to him. He says, doesn't answer me. I said, me neither. And we're always just like, you don't want to deal with it. We're like, I want you. Oh, no. And I say to kids too, sometimes I care about kids. I want to see them do well. Like a kid will come across my desk sometimes and be like, hey, I want to be like a meteorologist, right? And I'll be like, hey, Plymouth State is Division III wrestling, and they're really good in that field academically because there's not a lot of options for that. But I think like sometimes that also counteracts itself where we might see a kid, like if I got a good coaching buddy and it's like, man, this is my experience with the kid. Right? Like coaches talk, like we're not like cut for Division I people where we don't talk about recruits. Like we talk, we know. And no, every time that I communicate with a recruit is another opportunity for me to win them over just as much as every time that they communicate with the coach is another time they could lose that opportunity. And I don't want to, I always look at recruiting that they hold all the power. I know that might sound weird, but I think a lot of coaches live by this, like I can do more for them than they can do for me. No, they can do for me. That's why I'm recruiting them. I want to help them. And it's transactional in that regard, but like the kids hold the power in the whole recruitment process, definitely at the Division III level, because I don't have any money to offer athletically. And I like it that way, but they almost got to own that a little better. And communication is key, right? Like communication and growing up, like the last thing I like to see is a kid commit to another school after I'm recruiting him for 3 weeks and or 3 months and he doesn't even tell me. I'm like, man, I thought we were cool like that, right? I thought we were buddies, but stuff like that. I just think sometimes kids don't recognize that.
Yeah. Yeah. I told one of my kids last night, I go, you're probably going to have 18 or 20 coaches making you an offer here when we're all said and done. I know this is going to be hard to hear, but I'm going to tell you this right now. You're going to call every one of them. What you said. Yep. They put a ton of time into you and they wanted you. They wouldn't have offered you if they didn't want you.
Yep.
They see you as part of their future. Make the phone call. Don't send a text. Don't send an email. Make the phone call and say, Coach, thank you. This place, it's a little better for me and maybe a little better money. But I just want you to know how much I appreciate you. You know?
Yeah.
Doesn't that make your day when you get that? It's heartbreaking.
Oh, it's awesome because I'll tell you, I want these kids to be successful. So that's happened to me before. And I'll look across at the national tournament and see that kid and be like, hey, good luck, man. I like that. Like me, I like that. I don't want to be mad at an 18 to 22-year-old that's just weird at 35, 33 years old, right? So I want that for kids. And also, like I tell Sammy, rarely will I ever say the door closes on a kid. Because sometimes they might go somewhere they think at 18 is the right choice, and then 20 rolls around and they're like, hey, it's not. Or we had a kid in my last national qualifier at Ozarks. He didn't choose the Ozarks, was very good about it, went to a different school for some different reasons. Last year said, hey, man, I want to wrestle for you. I knew I should have back then. And I was like, that door never closed. Maybe became my last national qualifier. He's actually the assistant coach there now, great kid. But it's like, now that I have master's degrees here, a kid I recruit at 18, I'm going to try to get him here as maybe a GA, as maybe to use his last year, whatever it is. Like I keep a running list on my phone of like recruits we've missed out on. And I just check and see if they're still wrestling or what happens. And like illegally, it's like, hey, maybe he's in the portal. Well, I've talked to that kid and it ended well. Now, when they just ghost me, it's like the bridge has been burnt a little bit. And I know it's hard to say because they're underdeveloped brains at 17, 18 years old, but I'm like, well, that ship has sailed.
Yeah. And social media makes it so much easier now. We have texting, we have social media, you can go in
so easy. The problem about it, you could just text the coach, I found another option. Like, you don't even have to, I don't have to hear you say.
At least you demonstrated some level of respect.
Yep,
the responsibility to each other was valuable.
Yep, correct.
I just had a 45-minute phone conversation with a kid I recruited 20 years ago that went to another school. I wanted the kid more than anything. He's a lawyer now. He's got his own family. We connected through LinkedIn and we talked on the phone. He goes, Coach, I would love to play for you, but your school didn't have some of the things I wanted. But I was like, hey man, I completely understand, but I'm still so proud of you. How would you
please up? I got this recruit. I recruited the Ozarks. He was at another school in Arkansas that he transferred out, and he was transferring. I recruited him, and now he'll send me recruits now because he's from New Jersey and I'm on this side now. And he's, hey, we actually just landed a kid the other day because of him, and I'm like, sure. So like it just wasn't a fit for him, is all.
There may not be a better analogy than for coaches and athletes to understand that the recruiting process is a long journey that's going to continue long after you graduate college. If you think about that mindset, right?
Correct. Yeah.
Yeah. So I love that. Coach, this has been awesome. I haven't asked this question. I don't think of any guests, any college coach before, but I want to get your thoughts on it. I usually ask about, you've done so much already, giving advice for parents and recruits.
Yeah.
What's your advice to high school coaches about their recruiting journey? What do you wish they were doing and thinking about?
So I think what's really important for high school coaches, and I'm pretty brash when I say this, I spoke at like an Arkansas thing and they never had me back because of this, like an Arkansas coaches convention. But all the coaches they asked me, what do you look for in a recruit? And I think they wanted this very easy, when he moves his hands in his feet, he does this. When he does this, he does that. Wrestling related. And I was like, I need somebody who's coming from a program where their coach is like real with. I think sometimes high school coaches get really caught up in where they can send their kids. And it becomes like a weird, I sent my kid over to University of Northern Iowa. Now me and Schwab are like this. And it's, is that why you did it? So you said to that coach, we're buddies and you can get a beer with him every now and again so you can post about it. I want the coach. There's a lot of coaches that I run into now out here where it's like, hey, I got a kid for you and we will sit down after he wrestles for me. And it started more at the Ozarks towards the end, but I can tell out here, some coaches just want the best for their kid. Like I've connected with, there's some coaches out here that I'm really not super interested in building relationships with right now because they're more on the, what can you do for me type thing rather than coaches, what can you do for them? What can you do for their kids? And I want the coaches who recognize that it's not about wrestling, right? Like I want the coaches who have me and like, we built some really good relationships. The best coach in the state, one of the best coaches in the state, both coaching staffs, one Skyline and one is Grassfield. They're like, number one, number two, arguably, either one's the best. And we go out to their high schools a lot, built really good relationships with them. And we respect what you do out there. We respect what you're building. They don't even care if we're Division III, Division I, if we have money, if we have not. They're like, hey, this kid will be good for you. Rarely does it even come up like, they want to go D1. The kids have that allure, but I want coaches, and coaches need to level with their kids and sometimes have the hard conversation. Like Division I athletics right now is such a cutthroat space. The Division I dream is dead. I believe the Division I dream is dead. I know that sounds crazy to say, but like to say I'm a fringe Division I wrestler and I'm going to walk on and the coach is going to spend time and develop me and I'm going to win a national championship on my senior year. He's going to pay 5 kids at the same weight in that same 5 years that you're there trying to do that thing. Just the way it is now. And if they're then the program's probably not all that successful. There's not much parity there, right? Like you're either paying kids a lot of money or you're not having success. And their job is to find the best kids in the country from California all the way to New York, and you could be in Montana, right? Yeah. So I want coaches who understand that picture and they don't really ask me what technical things do my kids need to work on. That's the question that comes after they commit. Hey, coach, he's committed to you. How can I get him better and ready for your room? That's a down the road question. The things that I want these coaches hammering me on now is like, how are you going to help my kid become great at life? And the coaches who find more value in saying, I'm sending my kids to wrestling college for 4 years at a place where they can be successful academically and athletically versus those singular signing day post when you got your arm around them and there's 3 Division I hats on the table and that's your claim to fame. And so I know that's a long-winded answer. I hope that makes sense, but I only recruit from programs that send kids to Division III level on a core non-scholarship programs on a consistent basis. And I don't mean that as like to push them out. It's like they get it, right? Like there's a club in town. He wasn't too interested in having me out or any Division III coaches. And I'm like, what? Vinny? Yeah, like why? Like you have to lose. Exactly. Yeah, exactly. That's what I thought. And now I'm just like, okay, I probably won't ever get a kid from that club. And I'm okay with that because the other thing that high school coaches don't realize sometimes is like the athletes you produce and have had for a few years become who you are in your belief system of wrestling. So there's a really good buddy of mine, Willie Hilton, out there in North Carolina. I'll take his best kids down to him. Maybe he's not his best kids because that guy's a great coach and he knows what he's talking about and he instills the right things in his kids and he wants the best for them. There's some other coaches where it's like, I want to take their best kid because they don't think highly of Division III or they're going to come in with this sense of arrogance. It's like realizing like I'm recruiting you too, high school coach. You're one of the first people I look at personally as a high school coach. Like I look and see what program are they coming from, what kind of values are being instilled, what kind of things are they teaching their kids, not just in wrestling, but like how important is it then for them to match the kid up with the correct college fit, or how important is it for them to hang Penn State's wrestling banner from their gym?
It was always a pet peeve of mine when a high school coach would call me and say, "Man, I got a kid for you."
Yeah.
Like, this is the perfect kid for you. I'm like, you've never been in my gym. You've never seen him.
Yep.
You have no idea what our system is, offensively or defensively. You think you got a kid for me?
Yep.
I always tell high school coaches, if you're going to call me about a kid, say, "Hey, Matt, I got a kid I think can play at your level. Would you evaluate them for me? Would you give us feedback and let me know if we're right, if we're wrong, or what we need to be looking at differently?"
Yep.
Now that person wants to be a partner with you. Now that person wants to learn about my system and how I teach, instead of trying to tell me what kid's going to fit. How do you?
Yeah, no, and that's huge. It's like, I get this one a lot. Coach, he's a D1 talent. What's a D1 talent? What does it mean? What does that one mean? I don't know what it means. I swear, like my assistant wrestled 4 years Division I, one of the best. He was like the #1 high school recruit coming out of high school into college his senior year. If anybody's been recruited and is like a true Division I athlete, it's Sam Hilligus, right? It's funny because like he'll fear that sometimes. So he'll be like, what does that even mean? Like, how do you quantify it? Like, how do you quantify a D1 talent? And
this is how you quantify it when they have D1 offers on the table.
There you go.
That's how you quantify.
Biggest thing. So there's a coach who wrestled Division I. He's up on like the Virginia, like up top of Virginia, and his name is John Faucian. Phenomenal. Wrestled Division I, phenomenal athlete, phenomenal competitor, great coach. Yes, we're talking about some of the kids he's got, but he has some true kids who can wrestle at the Division I level. But we were just talking about kids in general the other day, and I was like, what do these kids think? Like, that they're just randomly don't have D1 offers, so they just walk onto a D1 team and changes. Like, and I'm not trying to be mean to the kids. It's just, hey, if the coach is not talking to you, then that's a red flag. Go somewhere where somebody wants you, not somewhere you want to be. And I know that's so hard to say because it's like, maybe you don't want to 100% be at Lynchburg, but like the coach wants you there, or any school, insert any other school. Maybe it's, man, I'm like 80% sold in that school, but that coach is 100% sold on me. Or you go down to Penn State or Iowa or West Virginia or VTech and you're like, oh, I didn't even get to see the head coach. Well, like, I love VTech and I'd love to one day maybe put a singlet on in a media picture. And it's like, oh, I don't even think the coach will know your name. And that's okay. I'm not knocking those coaches. Their job is different than mine and their paychecks derive a different way. So I get it. And it's just different. There's levels to this. But it's always interesting to me, and I tell high school coaches all the time, it's your job as a high school coach to put your athlete in the best situation for them to be successful at the next level. And if you don't do that, you fail at the kid.
Well, it's so funny because I hear this from parents all the time. They'll say, my son beat the kid that's signing at Appalachian State or at Cleveland State or Columbia, throw on a D1 kid that signs. Why didn't they offer my son? Why aren't we getting those same offers?
Sure.
Your son might have D1 ability, but does he have D1 character? Does he have D1? Does he have a D1 work ethic?
Yep.
Is he a D1 teammate? Does he have D1 grades?
Yeah.
So there's layers. I like about it.
Like we have a really good working relationship with a Division I, not too far from here in another state, and they'll get emails from kids all the time and they forward them to me. They're like, hey, this kid's not bad. Like, he's a good wrestler, but he is not going to wrestle you. And we can't tell him more times. And I really commend this coach because he's done a great job. He's one of the best coaches I've ever seen in Division I wrestling. He's like, I don't know why they keep emailing me. And but somewhere along the way, whether it's a parent or a high school coach, is keeping that dream alive for the kid. And it's like, they're trying to put the kid in, like the other coaches are trying to put this kid in a good position by sending him my way, but the kids are just so obtuse because somewhere along the way, whether it's mom or dad or high school coaches are telling them, go wrestle. If you're a true Division I athlete, and this is like the advice I could give to recruits, 98% or 99%, you probably agree, if you're a Division I caliber athlete, you probably have been communicated with by a Division I coach. And it might not be a big one, right? It might be a small PSAC school, some small, at least by the end of your junior year. Like, it's not going to just randomly pop in where you are done with your high school wrestling season and all these D1s just start talking to you, it's probably, you're going to hear from these people before you probably are walking on campus your senior year. More times than.
It comes down to just being practical with your child too. Every 5 or 6 years, my wife and I'll buy a new car. And I'll always be like, let's just go drive the Lexus. We can't afford it. Let's go drive the Cadillac. And it's amazing how many times I'll get into one of those cars that are 20, 30, 40, 50,000 more than I can afford. And I'll go, I wouldn't spend the money for this.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I don't like the headspace. I don't like the technology.
Yep.
And I think parents need to understand that is get your kids to look at every level. Go visit a Lynchburg. Go visit a D2. Go visit an NAI. Go visit a D1. But D1s aren't saying we want you to visit. If you have to go through the admissions office, yes, there's a big problem in how you're evaluating your child.
Correct.
Instead of saying, let's figure out what their value is and let's give them some options where they have some choices. So,
I would say it, like with Lynchburg, right? Like I think some people got to give people's looks like a school like Lynchburg, like a really good athletic department. We have Division I capable athletes on this campus in other sports. We win national championships in a lot of sports here, wrestling to be next. And we treat our kids like Division I athletes. Like Sammy wrestled Division I. It's like, we have better facilities than some. We have a nutrition station, right? Like we have things here. We have 5 or 6 full-time athletic trainers. We have 3 full-time strength coaches. We have a 30,000 square foot weight room and multi-purpose training facility, a 12,000 square foot wrestling facility. Like we have national Division III and NCAA coaches of the year, national champions on staff. Like we have things that I say it all the time to kids. We treat this like a Division I university. I just don't give you Division I scholarship, but this is Division I type wrestling. And that's where I think sometimes people are like, oh, like we have some kids in state who are like, I don't want to wrestle Division III. And I'm like, I don't know, man, if you'd even start for me, and I'm not being mean. It's just like, you're great yet, but it's just preconceived notion that Division III is like a club. And I'm like, no, when people come on this campus and they see the level that we care about our athletics here at Lynchburg, sometimes I even forget, like, I think we're at a smaller Division I university. Now we're not like Penn State, massive enrollment, but for comparable enrollment size to Division I's, we'd be like top of the pack for a lot of Division I's that have 2,000 undergrad enrollment. Like we crush it in that department.
That's so cool. I am so happy for you, my friend. I'm proud of you. I'm so thankful for our friendship, and I love you to death. And I know you are just going to tear it up there, but thanks for coming back, sharing your story again and sharing your new story. And I know any coach or family or student athlete that's listening to this, take what Coach Barber's saying to heart. None of this is absolute. And he's trying to get that clear. It's about finding that great fit. It's about finding those relationships you want to take you on your journey. So thanks for continuing to do it, my friend.
Yeah. Appreciate you, man.
What a great conversation. Big thanks to Coach Vinny Barber for the straight talk on recruiting, communication, fit, and habits that move you up a coach's list. If this helped you, please make sure you follow, subscribe, rate, and leave a quick review so more families and coaches can find the show. For weekly blogs, recruiting tools, my significant recruiting books and journals, our Launchpad classes to help guide you through every step of your recruitment. And if you're interested in having me come speak to your high school organization, please go visit CoachMattRogers.com for all of our free resources and tools. We're here to help your recruiting and coaching journey get easier. Until next time, stay focused, stay humble, and keep chasing significance.